Okay. So, direct execution involves directly talking to Java software installed on your computer and getting your work done. So, for that, the only reason why it is not recommended in the lower standards is because it uses heavily and it relies heavily on the command line interface, which at times the students may not be comfortable with in using. So rather the board suggests you use IDEs. But like I said, it's not that difficult once you get used to it. You can actually see the things going on. How is it? How what is the exact way of compilation? How the bytecode is, or the rather machine level language is generated, and then how you get the output by executing that computer understandable version of your program if there are no errors. So all such things, Java C for compilation and Java command for running the program if there were no errors and .class file was generated successfully. So direct method of execution also we saw in the last class. Then we saw uh, comments in Java. Okay, so we also saw some before starting the programming in last class. We saw certain other things about Java, and one of them was your comments. The purpose of comment is for increasing the readability of the code, maintainability of the code, and documentation sake. So, like you might have said, and in fact, last class also one of you brought it up. There are three types, but for now we are only going to deal with the two types. Okay, we'll see the third one later. So two types we have seen so far the comments. One is single line comment and one is multi-line comment. The single line and also the striking features about comment is they are ignored during execution by Java programs because it is not for the computers to understand. It is only for the sake of maintainability and increasing the readability of the code with respect to the reviewer or the person who is actually having a look at the code. So it is ignored by both the types of comments. In fact, all the types of comments are ignored by your Java software when you are executing your programs. Okay, so first type of comments that we saw was the single line comment, which starts with double forward slash back to back. Okay, but it can only it can only denote one line of comment. So if in your program you have some lengthy explanation for any code segment that follows, you will be using what is known as multi-line comment, and those multi-line comments start with forward slash asterisk, then the content, and your comments may span across multiple lines, somewhat like this. If I can show you here, your comments can somewhat, multi-line comments can somewhat start from one line. Okay, you can write multiple lines, and it will end at some different line. So of course it can span across multiple lines, though you can also use it as a single line comment. But why to write extra brackets when there is an option to just write one pair of forward slashes? So that will get your work done. So in case only if there are more than one lines of comment, we are going with this. Though this can also be used for the single line, but that won't make much of the sense if you want to use it. Okay, so these were the two types of comments that we saw, which are ignored by Java. Then we have that we also saw that all the programs should, or rather all the lines that we write in a Java program, they have to be written within the braces of public static void main. Okay, and all the non-comment statements must terminate with semicolon. Okay. Also we saw that each new statement should be written in a separate line. Okay, and all non-comment statements should be ending with semicolon. So we might have seen a few cases like here. Okay, so all non-comments and whatever is written within the braces, opening and closing brace of public static void main, this and this. Okay, so all the further comments, lines, non-comment lines or statements will be terminating in semicolon. If not, it will give error. Fine. Then we also concluded our discussion with the topic displaying outputs on the screen, and we also saw two statements for the same. Okay, system.out.print and system.out.println. Right. So we saw some programs for that also. Okay. So uh, so in that only we also saw one related topic, which was concatenation. Concatenation means merging of or combining of two or more strings together, or a mixture of numbers and strings together. Fine. So these things we have already seen. We also saw a few programs. If I can just show you those programs at one glance. These were the comments. Okay. This was the multi-line comment. Then this was your using print and println lines. Okay. So if you do not change line, if you write print instead of println, okay, then you will see that all the things get printed in the same line. Just a minute. Okay, so all the things get printed in the same line. So what does println do? Println prints the content placed inside its parentheses. What are the parentheses? The opening and closing simple brackets. So whatever message you write in it, enclosed within double quotes, it will simply print on the screen and then won't change line, and the next print will take on from where the earlier print left. So here after D, I am learning programming will start, and after G, the next print will start printing, because only println after printing its content changes line. Okay. So we also saw some examples of println and include with concatenation. Okay. So in that we saw more than two strings can be concatenated. They will merge together in the same way and will be displayed as a single message on your screen, and then only println will change its line after printing this concatenated message. Now, what is the difference between 2 plus 2 and within quotes 2 plus 2? This will be taken as merging of two messages. So concatenation will happen, 2 2 you will see, and here you will see the actual mathematical result, which is 4. Of course, 2 into multiplication is denoted by asterisk symbol, single asterisk symbol. So 2 multiplied by 8 will give you 16. And then we also saw not only two messages, rather one number and one message, or even any combination of these numbers and messages, and then numbers and numbers will be concatenated. In this we observed whatever number came after the first message, okay, here after Baker Street, B Baker Street, we saw that instead of getting added and then being concatenated, they were simply concatenated as if they were strings. So this resulted in 3 2 rather than 5. Okay. So let me know all these things till now. Was it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Fine. So now we'll move forward with a bit more discussion on concatenation. Let me see if I have somewhere. Okay, this is for ln is for line that we have seen. Fine. Now, tell me the answers of this. What will be the answer of this?
So
4. Will it change line after? Will this println change line after printing 4?
yes,
Yeah.
Yes, yes, okay. So it will print the answer as numeric 4 and it will change line. Now what will be the answer of this?
22.
22.
22 as a message and not as a number. Okay.
Yeah.
It will also, after printing it on the second line, will move to the third line, right? What
Yes.
Yeah.
will
Yes.
be the answer of this?
So 221 B Baker Street is the address of Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, in the new line, that is in the third line. Okay. Now you tell me what will happen here. Will it change line?
No, sir, same line.
Same line. After S of homes, what will start?
222.
20.
No,
You
it
can
will
tell
not
me
be
the
22.
combined thing.
It will be 29, 29, 15, hello, 32, 15, hello.
32. It's 22.
Yeah, because 22 plus 7 plus 3. The 7 and the 3 are also not in brackets. Are not in, sorry, what are they called?
Quotes.
Quotes, yeah.
So what should be the, Merul, you tell me first, what should be, I'll ask others also, what should be the result of this?
It will be 32, no, not, yeah, 32,
32.
then
Okay.
50, yeah,
So it will be 22.
Why 32?
32. So 22 plus 7, 29, 29 plus 3, 32.
Why
So
are
it
you
won't
adding
change
it?
because everything is taken as a string here.
See here,
But they are not in, what do you call those, quotes, right?
they are within quotes, see. Just I'll come back to the previous example. Here. So here, did you get the answer as 221 plus 3 plus 2, that is 226?
Uh,
No, sir, we got it as 221 B Baker Street.
32.
32, yeah, 32.
Okay, correct. One after the other. If you, I'll just refresh it. Okay, just 1 minute. I'll maximize it.
Yeah.
Okay. See, so even if you get one message within the print, other numbers will lose their identity and they will start acting as if they are messages. Okay, so
Yes.
it's not that they will get added up. So now we can
Yes,
see after S, because this will not change line, so next println will start from where the earlier print left. Okay, so after S you will see 22, 22, 15 together.
22, 15.
Hello, space,
Space hello.
with a space hello, then space, then 7,
70,
space
73.
3.
Okay.
Right, this you will see. Then will it get will it change line?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
because it is ln. So it will come on the fourth line now. See, this first line was changed by this, second was changed by this, and third was changed by this. So it will start, this print will start printing from the next line.
Next line.
Okay, so now one interesting case. Okay, tell me, what do you think will be the answer of this?
So I think it will still remain a string.
It will everything. So
so 40, hello, 73, I guess.
40 hello 73. Why 40 here?
Yeah.
So 22, 15, 3 with no space.
With no space. Okay. So like yes, the thing is we have applied the same logic here and we are arriving at the conclusion. But yes, there is something special about this. That I did not tell you in the last class. I kept it purposefully for the next class. Okay, because I wanted you all to get to settle down with the normal string. See, another rule is there in concatenation. If you have a mixture of numbers and messages, and that will result in concatenation. However, all those numbers which are present before the first string, they will add up using mathematics only. If before the first string, before the first message, if you have numbers, more than one or more numbers separated by plus sign and whatever, they will not be concatenated. Their result will be evaluated and then that result will be concatenated with hello. So because the first string in this mixture is hello, okay, so before this whatever comes, that will be added. So that will be 40 and then 40 will be concatenated with hello. Here, that is why in all the previous cases, before the first string, I gave only one number. Okay, so that you do not get confused with this special case. So, but after that first number, after that first message, whatever numbers are there, they will be acting like quotes only. They will get simply merged up and no addition will take place. However, before the first string, whatever numbers are there, they will get added up, and then that result will be concatenated with the first with the string and whatever is thereafter. Okay, so in order to just show you once, I'll execute this code 6. This is the only special case in concatenation. Sorry, code 6, right? Okay. You can see. Okay, so in concatenation, we also have to keep one thing in mind. Before the first string, whatever is there, okay, before the first message, messages are also known as strings properly, technical terms. Okay, so before the first message, anything within quotes, double quotes is known as a string. Okay, in layman language, I was telling you messages, but we can properly call it string. So before the first string or the message, whatever number is there, if they are present, separated by plus sign, first their result will be computed, and then that result will be concatenated with rest of the things. But that won't apply whatever comes after it. These will still get concatenated. Okay, only this is you can say exception or exemption is for the whatever number comes before the first string or the first message. Is this only special case? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. So others also, if you are having doubt, you can just stop me right there. Okay. Fine. Now let me come back here. Yeah. Now we'll move ahead with some new topic for today. We'll be seeing few more interesting things. Okay. Now before we start, we'll learn about some operators. Now and before we see what are operators, we should understand the meaning of the operators themselves. Okay, let me clear it up a bit. Okay, I'll start here from here only. I won't clear it up. So there are three terms. Before we make any progress, we should understand the meaning of the three terms. Okay. So what are operators, what are operands, and what are expressions? So these three terms more specifically deal with, they do not deal with messages, rather they deal with more, you can call these as messages also, you use them in messages also, but more specifically we'll be using in context of numbers. Numbers. Okay. See, let's say you have one example, 2 multiplied by 3 plus 7 minus 5 multiplied by 6. Okay. So this sequence of number, some symbol, mathematical symbol, number, some mathematical symbol, number is together, this gives rise to what is known as expression. Okay. And within expression, you will find mathematical numbers. Those mathematical numbers are known as operands, and the symbols, the mathematical symbols which suggest what operation has to be done on the numbers, those mathematical symbols are known as operators. Okay, so for your clarity, I'll write here. Okay, let's say these are numbers. Symbols. Then you have numbers. Okay. Or we will learn later, maybe today itself. If not today, tomorrow for sure. Identifiers. So let us ignore this identifiers term for now. You can only concentrate on numbers. And together, both operators and operands, sequence of them, which has to be calculated using mathematical rules, these together form what is known as expression. Okay. So operators and plus operands form expression. Is it clear to all? What are operators,
Yes, sir.
operands and expressions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So those who are not getting my type also, because else I'll not come to know. Fine. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So now we will come to this. What are these symbols? See, in computers, in order to perform mathematical operations, just like mathematics, you have certain symbols. Okay, so what are those symbols? You can see here. These are also known as arithmetic operators, mathematical operators or arithmetic operators. So, like we said, arithmetic operators include plus, minus, multiplication is symbolized by asterisk, division is symbolized by single forward slash. Okay, don't put two forward slashes, else it will become comment, single line comment. Okay, so and one special type of operator that maybe you might have seen or you might not have seen is remainder operator, which is known as modulus. Okay, so tell me the result. If I write SOPLN, that is system.out.println, 2 plus 3, what will come?
So 5.
What will come?
8.
8. For this,
So 20.
20. This,
So 5.
5. Now, coming to that last one, or modulus operator, what does it do is, okay, this modulus operator, let's say if you write 23 mod 6, that means when you divide 23 by 6, what will be your remainder? Okay, so tell me what will be the remainder?
So 5.
5. So, oh, just a minute. Okay, so here what you will see, the answer, if you write
So 5 is the answer.
SOPLN, yes, 23 mod 6 will give you 5.
5.
Okay, because it checks for remainder. What about okay, no, wait. Okay, you tell me this also.
So 4.
4, correct? Because if you divide 13 by 9, 4 will be remaining. What if I change the other way around? Yes, this all of you must attempt.
So minus 4.
Your is minus 4. 4 or minus 4?
So minus 4.
Minus 4 is the remainder. Fine. Any other answer? Others will have to type who are there. Janvi and others, Merul,
No, but how
Sarvamai.
do you get minus 4?
Yes,
No,
sir.
I did not say answer is minus 4. I am just taking what you think. That was one of the options or answers provided by, expected answers provided by one of your friends. What do you think will be the answer?
0.
0. One of you says 0. Any other answer?
पिक्सल चाहिए मैं कचूमर
Yes,
So for which one, sir?
this one, this one. When 9 is divided by 13, what is the remainder?
9 divided by 13.
This is not computer, this is normal simple mathematics. I don't know, two of your friends have suggested minus 4 and 0. If you are free to make your guess.
9 and 13. You'll get some decimal, never-ending decimal.
You get remainders in decimal. Are you serious?
No, sorry, the quotient. Sorry.
Quotient. No.
It keeps going.
I think
So it gives 0.66 something.
So we need the reminder.
remainder cannot be 0.66. Listen, you should be you should have told me. Wait, I'll explain.
So I guess I don't know. We'll just keep. You won't get a final remainder.
You will get a final remainder 100%. See what happens when the divisor is greater than the dividend. You know what is divisor and dividend? What is this 23? Is it a divisor or a dividend?
Divisor.
Divisor is dividend. Yes. Divisor is the number by which you divide. Okay. So here the divisor is 13. And
Yeah.
dividend, the number which you are going to divide is 9.
9.
So in case the divider is greater than dividend, okay, what is the quotient? Will it be able to divide 13? Even if you write 1 times, it will become 13. It will exceed it, right? So
Yeah.
we say in mathematics, but okay, 13 1 times won't fulfill. But what about 13 0 times?
The
13, any number multiplied by 0 is 0. So
Yes, sir.
as per mathematics, if the divisor is greater than the dividend, in that case the quotient is 0 and the remainder is 9, which is the dividend itself.
yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, this is normal mathematics. This is nothing related to computer. Okay.
Okay.
So in case,
Yeah.
any doubt?
So no, I just wanted to ask something regarding to the on-cloud system that.
Wait. Hold on your horses. One thing at a time. You cannot sail 2 boats at the same time, na?
Yes,
So-
yeah, that's what I just thought.
Okay.
And,
Have patience.
yeah.
Okay, so what should be the answer here? When the divisor is greater than the dividend, the answer will be dividend itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so here the answer will be 9. Okay, neither of these.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we are familiar with all the operators. Multiplication operator is what you call as asterisk, this operator. This is forward slash stands for division. Do not try to find for that normal division symbol. Okay, like 2 plus 3 many times. Student try to look for this by 5, or they may try looking for divided by symbol. These things don't work. Okay, so division is always done by this operator. Anyways, 1 minute, I'll clear it up. Okay, now the final one was remainder operator, which is known as modulus operator. You can just check out the spelling. I'm not sure. I think O won't be here. So that percentage symbol, you won't never call it percentage symbol. It's either you call it remainder operator or modulus operator. Okay, this stands for mod symbol, MOD. Okay, fine. So we will see one program for this, and then we will proceed ahead. Okay, not this one. Wait, I'll have to open it. I think that is code 7 I had written. Yeah. Yes, so if you can see here, because each one of them is ln, right? So each one of them is ln. So all the answers will be printed on the separate line, and because none of them is a string or a message, so no problem will be there. They will be taken as pure numbers. So 2 plus 3, this will give your answer as 5. This will give you 9. This will give you 6. This will give 4. This will give
1.
1. I'll write another example. If I write it the other way, what will be the answer for this?
So 3.
3. Okay, the dividend itself. So let us just verify it. It was 7th one, I think, yeah. Code. So you can 5, 9, last one is 3, okay, and then 1 was there because if you see this, see, you can make these things more presentable. How? Meron, I think you're playing my recording only, so please you can just reduce the volume.
Yes, sir, that happens with my mic. It's like if I open a new tab on Google or something, or if I open another application, it starts going haywire. So
Okay, no problem. So you can refer to that later. Just focus on what I am doing right now. That is more important.
yes, sir.
Okay. So in order, I'm just making that display more presentable. See how these small things will help you a lot. Whenever you are displaying, it should be meaningful. Right.
Sir, I not understand, like, after the double quote, whatever comes next will just be printed next to each other, right?
Yeah, concatenation, but 1 minute. I'll tell you the logic behind that also. I'll explain this. I'll explain what I want here. You will also understand. So that will be 2. Okay. Okay, now we'll see. First we'll see what will be the output, then I'll come to how it is done. Okay. Now you can see you are getting some sort of meaningful result. So this is giving you something like 2 plus 3 is equals to 5, 12 minus 3 is equals to 9. So actually what we are doing is we are concatenating one message with the result of an expression each time. So this part is message, and then it is being concatenated with the result of the subtraction expression. Then the same message is being concatenated with the result of the same expression. Okay, so this is making your output look more presentable, isn't it? So I'll show what I did here. So I just put that message so that I can figure out on the screen. See, earlier it was, what is this? The person running the program may get confused. Okay, if the person is not able to see your code, person will say what you have done, right? So in order to make it more presentable to the person who is running the program, now they will understand, okay, you are checking out some maybe mathematical operators and the result. Okay, that will be intuitive. That will come automatically. Okay, so that is why we are writing a message and then we are printing the result of the expression. But remember one thing, if you miss out this bracket, then things may go wrong. I'll show you. See what will happen. Did you see what happened? You remember, after this message, whatever comes, those numbers with plus sign, those will be concatenated. So here you were lucky enough that you got some answer. But in case of minus and other things, you may not be that lucky. I'll show. See, it gave error, right? So what I am saying is, when you want to concatenate one message with the result of an expression, then that expression must be enclosed within simple brackets, so that the whatever is enclosed within the simple brackets is calculated first, that is replaced with a single value, and that single number or the value will be concatenated with the message. Okay, don't write it without grouping in brackets. Is this concept clear? If you are concatenating, if you want to concatenate the result of an expression with one message or a string, always enclose that expression within simple brackets, so that that result is calculated first, and that result, only one single result, will be concatenated with the entire message coming before it or even after it. Is this thing clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So if it is all good, we'll move further ahead. Okay. So all this uses of plus, minus, that is arithmetic operators, I hope is clear to all, mathematical or arithmetic operators. Now we are going to dive into something very important. But before that, just give me maybe a minute's break. I'll just have some water and come. I don't know. It's back. Okay. Fine. See, keep practicing, program every day, because I'll tell you. Now, what we are going to dive into is one of the most important concepts in the program, and trust me, even if you go and ask this concept, many, I'll not say all, but 60 to 70% people who have done their graduations, also they fail to answer the concept of this thing. Okay, even I was once in an interview asked the meaning of this, variables. Okay, so we'll see a very deep inside of meaning of the term variable. But before we dive into variables, okay, let us understand something about the memory of the computer. Okay, so how many types of memories are there in the computer? So all those memories, you know, everything is a memory. See, hard drives, pen drive, hard disk drives, pen drives, memory card, even your magnetic tapes. You must have heard of RAM, you must have heard of ROM. Okay. By the way, what is the full form of RAM and ROM?
So ROM is read-only memory.
And RAM is? Any idea? It's random access memory. Okay, So fine, we'll see what they exactly mean and why there are different types of memories and which memories are we exactly using. So you'll be surprised to know that your hard disk of your computer, which we are using, which we say our hard disk is 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, etc. It is not the main memory of the computer. Computer is not even bothered about hard disk or the pen drives or the memory cards, whatever you plug into the computer from outside. Okay, or even the inbuilt hard disk, built-in hard disk on the chip, computer is not even bothered about that, it doesn't care about it. Computer cares about only two types of memories which are there in your computer. The first one is RAM, that is known as random access memory, and the second one is ROM, which is read-only memory. So these two memories, which are always there in all the computers, together are known as the primary or the main memory of the computer. So now, where these different types of this memory storage units and devices come into use, we are going to see that. See, I'll tell you story wise. Just imagine it as a very short film. Let's say your computer is turned off. You can imagine it. Your computer is turned off. You just turn it on. Okay, you just turn the power on in your computer. Computer starts up. You will see certain things going on the screen. Even the logo of the brand of which the computer, let's say Dell or HP, you can even see Apple. So all those branding and logos will come in the startup, few lines you will see, and then computer will forward, finally go and reach till password stage, and then desktop will come. So in almost all the operating systems, this is the way it works. So the memory which contains the some softwares which helps computer to start when it is turned off or restarts, that memory is known as read-only memory. The ROM is a memory of the computer which helps computer to start. Okay, it contains certain code or certain piece of software inside it which activates as soon as the computer starts from a shutdown state or it restarts. Okay, so if ROM is not there in your computer, computer won't start at all. Okay, so
it's just booting.
yeah, correct. Booting process is managed by your ROM. This contains the softwares which helps your computer to boot. Boot means starting up. Okay, so starting up process is managed by, or the contents or the softwares or the lines of codes which computer reads when it starts after shutdown state or even after restart. Those lines of codes are read from read-only memory. So used when the computer starts or awakens. Once computer has started, then there will be two types of memories that will be in picture. One is RAM, which is another main, see, once it starts up, this goes to sleep itself, then this won't interact. Okay, we can take like that. Its only role is to start up the computer or boot the computer. Once it is done, it will simply go and sit idle. Okay, my job is done, I'll be sitting idle. Let me know when you restart again. Okay, then it will not do anything. Now most of the task burden falls on this another type of main memory device which is known as a random access memory. And also certain other devices which are known as secondary devices, because in context of computer or as per computers, they are not so important for computers. So even your hard disk and all, they are not very important for computers. But for RAM is, you can say after ROM does its job, RAM is the most important entity for the computer. When I am saying computer, that means CPU of the computer. Okay, so what happens? I'll give you an example. Let's say if I show you my desktop, there are many files. Okay, let's say this is a video or this is an audio. This is again a video. This is an image rather. This is a video. So all these files, are they playing? Are they running on your system or they are merely saved?
No, so they're just saved.
That is saved. When it will start playing, when we double click it and it will open up and you can hear and see the videos and audios and images, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So till the time anything is there on your computer, but it is not running or executing, all such programs and files and folders and songs and movies and images will be saved in what is known as your hard disk. Okay, so any program or file or game or movie, whatever is there on your computer, which is there permanently till the time you delete it or till your time the computer crashes, all such permanent entities reside in hard disk of the computer. Then you will say, okay, fine, this has made it to wake up. This is containing everything. Why do we need this? Now I'll tell you why do we need this. Whenever anything is there and you want to execute it, okay, when anything like this video is saved on my hard disk, that is right, or these videos are saved on my hard disk, this image is saved on my hard disk, okay, but the moment I will double click it and the video starts playing or the audio starts playing or the game starts playing on clicking the game icon, it will no longer exist, or it will no longer exist in your memory of the computer in order to in the hard disk of the computer. That means it will be there in the hard disk of the computer, but in order to make the program run, a copy of that program has to be brought into RAM of the computer so that CPU can supervise its execution. Okay, so what I am saying is, if a file is saved on your computer and if a file is existing on your computer and is not executing, or a folder or a game or a movie, it will be there on your hard disk. However, if you want to play that song, movie, or open that image and bring it into execution, even your games, then all such things will come into your RAM and then only it will start executing. So did you understand what is the difference between RAM and hard disk? RAM is a memory storage area which contains all the programs which are currently executing on your computer. It can be games, movies, songs, images, MS Word, PowerPoint, anything, your MS Excel, whatever and whichever thing you have opened, even your Google Chrome, even your Firefox, whatever you are opening, till the time you don't click its icon and open it, it is there on your hard disk. Once you click it, of course it will be there on the hard disk, but a copy of it is brought into RAM so that it can be processed and executed by CPU. Is this concept clear, the role of RAM? Let me know.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just hold me, anyone, if you are having problem, just hold me at that point. So what is the importance of RAM? If RAM is not there, will you be able to play anything?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
That is why your pen drive and hard disks, they don't have screens generally. Why? Because they are secondary storage device. They can save your content or stuff permanently, but they cannot execute it. Why they cannot execute it? Because in order to execute anything, any program, a copy of it has to be sent to another type of memory device that is known as RAM, and then that RAM, with the help of rather under the supervision of CPU or the processor of your computer, actually plays the program and you see the effects. Okay.
So what if you have only a RAM and a hard disk along with a screen that's connected?
Now that is a
Will
very
work
important, I was coming to that and I was expecting one of you to ask that. Good. So the thing is, why do we need this then? Let us remove this entire part and have RAM only. What's
No,
the
I'm
problem?
running RAM of a secondary device, like a let's say a hard disk and a screen. So then will like
No, the
it's
thing is, I'll tell you.
So the computer won't boot without the ROM.
ROM without ROM computer won't boot. But let's say if we have ROM and if we do not have RAM and we have hard disks. Hard disks
won't
are
work.
properly.
It'll just
Sir,
be booting.
sir, we can't use anything. It'll just be there.
It will just be there. Because I'll tell you the reason why this cannot be done. The reason for that is it cannot be done because the CPU of your computer, okay, the CPU or the processor of your computer can only see directly one memory storage area, okay, which is known as RAM. It is built in such a way only. And it is this RAM it is this RAM which on the background talks to your secondary storage devices like hard disks. Okay, hard disk drives and pen drives. So the moment you instruct the computer, double click on the icon, the CPU says, RAM, I don't know from where you will get, but I want you to bring one song or one game which is called XYZ whatever. Then this will fetch a copy of that thing into the RAM, and then the lines of code will be visible to the CPU, and CPU will start executing or reading those lines of codes from that copy of that thing which was saved on hard disk, and then that thing will start playing. Okay, so the reason why you cannot have that arrangement without RAM is because computers are built in such a way that it cannot directly talk to your secondary storage device like pen drives and hard disks. Is it clear?
So it acts like operating system between the CPU and the hard disk.
Not exactly an operating system, a sort of coordinator. Okay, operating system is the big thing that which is running which is coordinating the every device, not only the CPU, the RAM. In fact, intercommunication between everything is managed by your operating system. Like I said, it's the soul of the computer. Okay, so RAM is a coordinating device, a coordinating person who helps secondary storage device talk to CPU indirectly. Okay, in fact, CPU even doesn't know whether the secondary storage thing is existing. Computers are built like that. Now, one question you might ask, or maybe it might come to your mind, why not have RAM only then? Let us have 2 terabytes.
Random access memory and sends the code from the secondary storage device to the CPU. After you close the program, it's no more in the RAM. The secondary storage device is permanently stored.
Where did you where did you read that?
So I didn't read it. You were explaining that in the secondary storage device, it's permanently stored. In RAM, it just comes. And my dad, he's a software engineer, so he also told me that in RAM, it just it's there, and then it goes after you close the
shut down the systems. Correct.
So and without the ROM, we can't start the computer.
Yeah, of course. Let's say ROM, though, you can arrange separately. Okay, there are 2 different chips on your computer, but even if you arrange it, in order to execute your program, because CPU or the processor can see the RAM only. Okay, so even the programs that we are running, Python programs, when executing, when you write Java C and Java whatever commands, the programs, if I have saved at this location, Piyush Java programs location, from that location it is brought into the RAM for that small interval of time, and then it is executed. Okay, so even the
execution is over, it's gone.
The moment you have executed it, you can say it might not be gone. It will be there in the program. But if next program comes up for execution, and if there is no space, it can throw it away. Okay. So that will happen. So what is the main concept behind this is why we cannot have this big chunk is, of course, there are 2 reasons for that. The first thing is RAM is a lot costlier than hard drive.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so cost is one factor, but the more important factor is it cannot be done because RAM does not have the capability to store anything permanently. Okay, so RAM, let's say it's like when you turn off your system or shut down the system, whatever is there in the RAM, okay, let's say you might have experienced some time or the other, I'm not sure. Many a times when quite a few times you might have experienced, if the song is playing, something, game you are playing, and there is for some reason there is a power interruption. You have to restart your computer. All of a sudden computer shuts down. You restart your computer, your song won't be playing, your whatever games you were playing, that will be lost. You might have observed. Okay, so such things happen. When you shut down your system, this entire RAM thing becomes empty. Okay, the RAM, all the contents of the RAM are lost, they are gone, and whenever you start the computer fresh, ROM will help the computer start, and then RAM will be empty and fresh like ever again. And then you can again use it for your purpose, but till the time computer is on. Once you restart it again, it will again get erased.
So that's why when we shut down the computer has to like to close all the files.
Close all the files and save all the files at times if you have not saved it.
So, but why sometimes like I'm like streaming something on my computer through YouTube or Netflix, and suddenly like Chrome like entirely shuts down the Chrome randomly. Why does that happen?
That is not because of RAM or ROM. That is because of the software glitches. You call it in general term the software has crashed. Okay, that is not because that is because of the company you can say who are experiencing those sort of crashes or bugs. Okay,
Okay.
so not that is not the problem with RAM or ROM. Okay. Now I'll come discuss something a bit more about RAM. So more proper terminology for RAM, you can say RAM is volatile memory. Okay, I'll just discuss a bit more about RAM. Random access memory is volatile memory. What do we mean by volatile memory? It forgets the moment it starts up again. Okay, that's why it's volatile. Is hard disk volatile memory? If you shut down the system and restart, will it be lost, the data and content?
No.
No, right? So hard disk is again a non-volatile memory. Is ROM non-volatile memory? Is ROM volatile memory? No, because if ROM forgets what it contains, computer won't start up. So these things, ROM and secondary storage devices, they are generally non-volatile. However, RAM is volatile. Volatile means it forgets everything once you shut it down. That is, it loses its content. Fine. Okay.
Sorry, what if RAM is non-volatile?
No, we have not achieved that success so far. Its circuitry is designed in such a way that RAMs cannot be made volatile, non-volatile as of now.
So is it good that RAM is volatile, or is it a bad feature?
You can call it
in the middle.
You can call it a necessary evil. Though we will like to have RAM retain its content, okay, and you can do something like it can restart again, okay. Then see, that is in fact it won't serve your purpose if it saves everything permanently. Why? The reason being, let's say
Then only those applications will keep running.
correct, 100% correct. Let's say, I'll give you an example why that is not desirable to make RAM a permanent memory storage area. Let's say this is your RAM, okay, and if it stores as per what you say all the things permanently. This is application 1, you can take it as an audio. This is application 2, you can take it as a video. This is application 3, you can take it as a game. And this is application 4, which you can take it as your Google Chrome or Safari or whatever browser, Firefox. Okay, so let's say there are 4 things installed and your RAM is filled. So let's say if you want to bring another audio or a video, what will happen? Because these things are permanent, you will be only able to use these 4 things. If at all you want to store the 5th thing, you might have to delete forcefully one of the things and then get the new thing is brought here, okay. Or you can save the new things in any one of the locations after removing the earlier thing in that location. Okay, so that will become too complex. What is the advantage of having ROM as a volatile thing is as per demand. Here is a sea of memory, big memory, that is hard disk on the background, which it can talk to. Okay, let's say at one time it can run 4 programs only. You are playing A1, A2, A3 and A4. This is RAM. And this RAM is talking to CPU. Okay. Now, what may happen is, let's say you have 100 programs there, 100 applications here. Now, 4 are here. At max 4 can be there. So let's say you are done playing one and you want another program to be brought here. No worries, only a copy of it was brought here and then it was executing. Okay, whenever you will bring the another program, the program which has stopped its functioning, that will be removed, and the new program, let's say application 4 was here, application 5 will be brought in the memory. Okay, Just give me a minute, please. हेलो.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
हाँ हाँ सर बताइए. हाँ सर मैं आपको कॉल करता हूँ. हाँ आपको करीब हाफ एन आवर. ओके. टाइम कितने बजे से? ओके ओके कॉल करता हूँ मैं आपको हाफ एन आवर में कॉल करता हूँ सर. सॉरी फॉर द इंटरप्शन गाइस. हाँ.
No problem, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you have so what can happen is this thing, let's say this program what was there which has done its execution. Okay, the song has finished. Now it won't go off automatically, but if you the moment you open from your permanent hard disk, okay, let's say from D drive or C drive or E drive or whatever location on your system, you open new program, that will go and replace the one which has stopped its functioning. Okay, so in this way what you can do is you can have any number of programs working here. However, if you make RAM as the permanent storage area and you remove this part altogether, secondary storage device, that will only be able to accommodate fixed number of applications. Okay, for example, you must have seen, not exactly that happens, but to some extent that happens in your mobile phones. Okay, so your mobile phones generally don't have that big RAM, so only fixed number of applications can be saved. After that you will see the memory is full. Nowadays we are having 64 GB, 128 GB and all. Okay, so we are what you can say is able to store quite a few good number of apps, and we hardly run into that memory shortage thing. But earlier I remember 10 years back when I used to have some there at that time we did not have this Android. We had Symbian operating system. Okay, it was again Symbian operating system was built on Java only. Even Androids are using Java to good extent. Okay, so that Symbian operating system, those mobiles used to have very little space. So we used to keep track of what apps we need and what apps we don't need. So at times we had to remove some apps to download other apps, and then later on remove that installed app and get back the previous app to manage the memory. So that is the advantage of, you can say that is why we cannot, rather it is not desirable to make your RAM permanent and remove this secondary storage device altogether, because then your number of programs that can run into at one single time will be limited. Okay.
So, but now I'm running 4 applications. What if I'm running Chrome and I have 4 different windows of Chrome running? Then will it count as 4 different applications?
Yeah, that will
or
occupy.
as A1 only?
See, Merul, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I'll tell you something. Okay, whatever is there on your hard drive, that they are known as program. When that program is brought into RAM for execution, that program is known as becomes process. Okay, this will be thing you will be learning in engineering and all if you go for highest computer sciences. So program stored applications saved in let's say secondary devices, they are what you call as programs. When those programs are brought for execution into the RAM, they become what is known as process. Okay, what you are saying is, let's say you opened one Google Chrome. So Google Chrome, the moment you opened it, it became a process. A copy of it was brought here and it started executing, and you started using internet. But in Google Chrome, if you open another tab, let's say you open a second tab here, okay, that tab won't become a new process. Okay, that will become what is known as thread, a child process of the main process. Okay, so let's not go into that much. For now, you can consider, yes, sort of it becomes a new process.
So
Okay.
I just have one more doubt.
Huh, tell me.
So like the 4, like in the if the RAM has like 4 places, like if I'm playing 4 different videos and if I want another video to come in, like will the RAM ask which video should be deleted?
Yes, of course, you'll not be able to do. You will your computer will become too slow. Your computer, you might have seen, for gaming laptops, they have very big RAM. Okay,
Yeah, like the when I
16
see
GB. Okay, like some heavy games if you want to play on your system, okay, you will see that it starts lagging, your system becomes slow. Okay, if you open
yeah,
too many,
like
even if you are familiar with photoshops and all, in normal laptops if you try i3 processors with 4 GB rams and all, you will face the problem that those things will what you say, the computer will become too slow and even your system will start lagging and some data will be, while playing you will see, you will hear that some voices are some one or two lines will be missing from the songs, and even your games will, you will see one at one time you are here and the next frame you will see you have moved 10 let's say 10 meters ahead. So such problems start happening when you are using the programs, number of programs which is more than the, which exceeds the capacity of the RAM. Let's say you have 5 apps and your RAM can have manage only 4 apps. Let's say your RAM is 4 GB RAM. I'll tell you the meaning of GB also, don't worry. Okay, let's
so
say
that I guess most of us know because
gigabytes, but I'll exactly help you visualize that. Okay, so let's say you want to use 5 GB for your game. Okay, your game is very big. Will you be able to play in this? No.
no.
It's just like from, let's say there is a bowl. Okay, bowl is empty initially, let's say. Okay, and let's say you have another jug, a bigger jug which can store more water or juice than this. Let's say water is filled here. Okay, so if you pour water from this into this and this is filled and this has got lesser capacity than this, what will happen?
It'll overflow.
Overflow, right? Some of the water will get spilled around. Is it correct? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and
it
only
will follow the
only
most
only
of the
some water will be filled in that bowl and rest of that water will get spilled around. Same thing happens. If it won't say ki I won't play the game, if you are let's say saying, and in that 4 GB also you might be running some programs already. Let's say 6 programs you are running already. So effective space left is in the RAM is, let's say 2 GB only or 3 GB only. So now if you try to pour the bigger quantity than what space is left, what will happen? Only some part of the program will run, others won't run. So in that case, you will start seeing the missing frames. You will start seeing, in case of audios, the missing lines. Even your computer may start hanging, crashing. So such things happens when you open more and more programs at the same time. Even the Photoshop is a very heavy software. You open one Photoshop, at the same time you play one movie, at the same time you open 10 browser windows. Okay, if you try all those things and you start some games also, you will see your computer will crash. Because
So
you will,
would the RAM decide which application should be deleted and then which application we can be put in the RAM?
yes, see, you are going into 4th year of engineering. Okay, that
Sorry,
is
sir.
that topic will you will study in higher classes in one under one subject which is known as operating systems.
Sorry, sir, I was just curious.
So
No,
operating
I know, I
system is
understand.
one subject in computer engineering, like whatever with
There are many. There are many. Meryl will come to that also later. Let us complete this topic. So it's okay. It's good to be curious, but I'll just give you a glimpse. There is some this concept in operating system subject you will study, which is known as process management. That is, all the processes, all the programs that want to take the RAM, okay, they have to follow the rule of the operating system, which is together known as process management, and that is done by operating system. Okay,
So I can't hear you.
only you or others also.
Oh, now I can hear. Now I can hear. Now I can hear.
So what I am saying is कि there is one concept in operating system subject known as process management. There, if you study that thing, you will understand कि how the things come into, how the programs stored in your secondary device come into your main memory, that is known as RAM, for execution and become a process and start executing. So that will be, you will study under operating system subject in the process management under the topic of process management. So this structure is clear to all.
Yes, sir.
Main memory, secondary memory, and then
Yeah.
main memory is of two types. ROM helps
Yes,
in
sir.
starting in the computer. RAM is a volatile section that it forgets, keeps on forgetting things again and again. But whatever it needs is brought from secondary storage device. For execution, everything must be present in RAM only. So if you want to execute, all such things has to be brought from a secondary storage device to your RAM. Okay, and then RAM CPU will be able to see the content of RAM, and then it will start processing it, and you will see it executing on your computer. That can be your games, movies, files, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, any and everything that you double click and start executing. Okay, so all such things are first brought into the RAM. Now what do we mean by 8 GB RAM? What is meant by GB?
Gigabytes is the storage unit.
Storage unit, correct. But what is the basic unit of computer?
Bytes.
Bytes. So what do we mean by gigabytes? Well, I'll tell you. You can just imagine that it's a big sea of memories. Okay, this RAM is a big sea of memories. That is, it has many bytes inside it. What are bytes? They are the blocks. You can imagine them as the blocks of memories, and each block is used to store something, some data. Okay, so just let me complete this. Let's say this is your RAM. RAM is not just like a single piece of memory. It has got smaller cells. It is just like one building having many rooms. Okay,
So in the RAM chip, like it's long with 4 tiny micro SD card like things in.
It's green in color. It's green in color.
Yeah, green. And there are black micro SD card things like.
Yeah, correct. That you will find. Don't try to take it out of your system. Okay.
No. Once my dad had to change it in his computer.
Correct. That is
it
removable.
right.
That is a green chip with some black circuitry embedded on it. You will see.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can show you, because you have quickly 1 minute. I'll show RAM images.
I've even seen the motherboard, the entire
Achha,
huge thing.
it took that God and that RAM computer. Can you see this? Okay. These are computer RAMs. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So these are what exactly how the RAMs look like. But I'll highly advise against trying to open up your system with the screwdrivers and taking it out. Okay.
It will mess up the entire circuitry.
Fine. So RAM is not just, okay, you will not be able to see these blocks. I'm just for the sake of imagining, I'm telling you. It is built in the form of circuits. Okay. So it is like that. Now what does this means? 8 GB. I'll tell you 8 GB means how many these blocks. 1 GB is equals to, 1 minute, 2 kilo mega giga. Okay. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 6, 9. Correct. 10 to the power 9 bytes. That means 8 GB RAM means 8 into 1 GB RAMs, which is equals to 8 into 10 to the power 9 bytes. That means 8 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Roughly you can take, not exactly, roughly you can take these many small boxes are there in your 8 GB RAM. Can you imagine how big this number is? Okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you play one song, if your song is, let's say, 5 MB song, 1 MB is equals to, I'll just wrap up in another 5 minutes. Okay. 1 MB is equals to 1, 2, 3, 6. 1 into 10 to the power 6 boxes or bytes, you can say. Just a minute. Fine. So 5 MB songs will occupy out of this available memory 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of this, though when compared to this thing, okay, this is very small number, but yes, if you are playing one 5 MB song, only music, MP3, audio songs, then these many boxes in the RAM get filled. Approximately. It is more than that, but approximately you can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Around 50 lakh boxes. So you can imagine even the small programs are consuming a lot of boxes in the RAM. So big games, you can see how many boxes they will occupy. So some games are so big that you really need that 8 GB RAM is not sufficient for them. Then we go for what is known as 16 GB.
So 16 GB is the max, right? You have two 8 GB RAMs in two different slots.
No, that is max in case of general purpose computers. Okay. If you're going to companies and you're working, you can ask even your dad if he's working. I have personally worked on one, even on your this. If you work on companies and you are working on some projects, I have personally worked on around 64 GB. I had one machine which has 64 GB RAM.
So, but those are like the big machines, like servers or something like that, right?
Yes, those machines are not big exactly in the true sense, but yes, very powerful machines. I'll give you an example where such machines are used. Those machines are used, you might have seen Cisco, exactly. Okay, so Cisco and all you might have seen, not only in Cisco, the telecom companies. Let's say one tower of the telecom company is able to manage 40 lakh or 50 lakh or phone operators. So such computers which manage single towers of computer which manage the entire locality or entire area of a particular town, those computers need to be very powerful. So those computers are having that big RAMs. Okay. Okay, fine. Now let us come back to, we have gone too far. Okay. So I only wanted to give you the picture of this memory and how exactly is the memory, that is ROM, RAM and secondary devices. So just a brief of it. ROM helps your computer to wake up. RAM is any program under execution, that is process, programs will only be executing when it is residing in RAM. Okay, permanently if you want to store programs which are not executing, they are present in your hard drive. So before execution, it has to be brought from hard drive to your RAM. Okay. Such things you are going to study in detail. Operators, operands and expressions are certain things which we have seen today. Mathematical or arithmetic operators we have seen how they work. Modulus operator also we have seen. What are operands, and what are expressions also we have seen. Though I intended to cover one more topic, but because we have run out of time, so these two topics will continue from here tomorrow. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Is that fine? So just go and revise the theoretical thing, and I'll highly advise against going on the computer and exploring what are operating systems and how the process management and how the things are brought from RAM to this hard drive, secondary storage devices to RAM and all. Don't go into that. Time will come when you will be managing those things. Okay. Okay, fine. I'll stop the recording. Tomorrow we'll start with these very two important things. Okay. Chalo, fine. Bye.